especially if you're a new migrant. There are a lot of hurdles that we face unique challenges, things like, having to send money back home, studying, and also you're not starting off on like the same footing as someone who's grown up here. I recently bought my first house in Australia as a migrant nurse, and there are so many things I wish I had known. There are so many things I wish someone had given me a heads up about before I had even started the process, and I feel like that would have saved me a lot of headaches. And today I'm here to tell you about all of those things that I wish I had known before I bought my first house as a migrant nurse here in Tasmania, Australia. Before we get started, I just wanted to say hi guys. How are you? My name is Tembi, and on this channel I talk about nursing, traveling. If this is your first time here, then welcome, welcome, welcome. If this isn't your first time here, then thank you so much for coming back. As the title says, today I'm going to tell you about all of the things I wish I had known before I bought a house as a migrant nurse, because the process can be overwhelming and there's a lot involved, and it's a system that I didn't grow up with. It's a system that I didn't really know, so a lot of it I had to learn on the go by myself. So that's why I just hope this video will touch someone who is either in the process of buying their first house or wants to buy a house, doesn't really know how it works, or is also like me, a migrant nurse who just wants to know how it works. The first thing that you need to know about buying your house as a migrant nurse is that your credit history matters a lot more than you think. And as soon as you land in Australia, you need to make sure that you're taking care of it. And you need to do things that are going to be good for your credit and going to build up your credit score. And those things include things like getting a credit card so you can like pay it off every month and then show that you've got a good credit history. Another thing is you can like avoid missed payments by always making sure that your bills are paid on time, they're paid ahead of time, because you do not want something like a missed payment on your credit history. And then another thing is just to keep your bank accounts clean, especially in like the 3 months or so leading up to you looking to get a pre-approval or applying for your loan. You need to make sure that you don't have any like gambling transactions, Afterpay, Klarna, anything like that. And then also be careful with credit cards as well, because your credit cards can actually reduce your borrowing capacity. So what a lot of people tend to do is that they tend to close down their credit cards before they apply for their loan. In my case, I had a car loan, and I think I only had like $10,000 left on my car loan, but I decided to pay that off because I knew that having a car loan was gonna affect my borrowing capacity. Like basically, I wouldn't be able to borrow as much if I had this debt still on. I also had a credit card, but I didn't close that credit card down, and it didn't seem to have much of an effect on my borrowing capacity or anything like that. So yeah, make sure that you are taking care of your credit as soon as possible, as early as possible, and just make sure that you keep it clean as much as possible. The second thing I kind of knew already ahead of time, but I think is really important to know, is that lenders see an agency income or a casual income as very, very risky. So for people that don't know, I'm currently working as an agency nurse. Even though my income is great, it's not seen as like a stable income because I'm contracted, and I'm contracted for a few weeks at a time. So I'm not a permanent member of staff or anything like that. And that is very, very, very risky for lenders. And it's so risky to the point where there was only one bank that was willing to lend to me. One bank. So I only had one option, and I didn't have the option of like, trying to get like a lower interest rate and like shopping around all of that stuff, because I was limited, because all of the banks wanted me to have a permanent job and I didn't want to get a permanent job. So I was kind of essentially stuck with what I had. So that's something you need to be aware of. And then speaking of this agency income as well, I had to show 6 months worth of bank statements and pay slips. Luckily, I had been working consistently for 6 months and I hadn't taken any breaks. I needed to show that my income, even though it's risky, it was still like a stable and consistent income. So I would recommend that if you are an agency nurse, or if you're a casual worker of any kind and you're hoping to get a mortgage as a casual worker, in the months leading up to you buying, make sure that you're working as consistently as possible and try not to have any gaps at all if possible. The next thing that I wish I knew was about how much or how many hidden fees they were when you come to buy a house. Before, I used to think that all you needed to do was just like to save up for a deposit. And yeah, people always say, you need to save up for a deposit and fees, but no one really explains exactly what this deposit and what these fees actually are. So in addition to your deposit, you need to make sure that you're saving up for potentially paying for stamp duty, conveyancing and legal fees, things like a building and pest insurance, moving costs, council rates, body corp and strata fees, and you may have to also pay something called lender's mortgage insurance if you have a deposit that's less than 20%, or if you're a second-time home buyer. And all of these fees can easily without a doubt add $10,000 to $20,000 on top of your actual deposit. So you need to make sure that you're aware of this. Luckily, I did do a video in which I broke down all of the costs that I had to pay line item by line item. The next thing that you need is that you need a good team. So make sure that you've got a mortgage broker that knows what they're doing, that knows what they're talking about. You also need a reliable conveyancer or a solicitor, because that can make a huge difference, because this whole process is a lot. There's a lot involved, especially on the legal side. I was lucky that I had an excellent conveyancer. You also need supportive friend or a supportive partner or like a good mentor, someone who's sort of done this as well, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You need someone who has done this, who can also just take you through that. For me, I did have a friend who had also bought the house, but apart from that, I really didn't have anyone. I didn't really know many people who had sort of, done this the way that I was doing it. So a lot of the time I felt, quite alone in this. But if you're doing this with a partner, then fantastic. You've got someone already to like go through this process with, because it is an emotional roller coaster. Buying a house is not for the weak. The ups and downs, the stress, it can be absolutely insane, and it can wipe you out if you're not careful. So having a good support system, having a good team is so important. The fifth thing that I want to leave you with is that you are more than capable of doing this. And a lot of it is about like mindset and belief and stuff, because I know in my situation, for a long time, I didn't believe that I could ever be a homeowner. I didn't feel like it was possible for me. I felt like because of my visa situation, because I was doing this alone, because of my income, I didn't feel like I could do this. But especially if you're a new migrant, there are a lot of hurdles that we face unique challenges, things like having to send money back home, studying, and also you're not starting off on like the same footing as someone who's grown up here or was born here. So there are a lot more challenges that you have to overcome. If you are a migrant or a migrant nurse in Australia and you're dreaming of owning your own home here, please don't give up. And I hope this video helped you to know exactly what to expect, and to also avoid some of the stupid mistakes that I made and challenges that I had when I was buying my house. Anyway, let me know in the comments, like, what is your biggest fear when it comes to buying a home? Is it saving the deposit? Is it finding somewhere to live? Is it being able to afford it? Is it a job? Like, what is it? Please let me know in the comments section down below. If you like this video, then please do give it a thumbs up. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next video. Bye.